Welcome to Denver. We've come to the USA to take a look at this all-new, all-electric EQS SUV from Mercedes-Benz, and it is a very important car to that company. But before I start, quick fun fact. Did you know John Denver never lived in Denver? Did you know that his huge 1971 mega hit, Take Me Home Country Road, was not about Denver? Me neither, until I looked it up just the other day, but there you go. What's that got to do with this car? Absolutely nothing. So let's focus on this car now. What do you know about the EVA architecture from Mercedes-Benz? It is all electric and very important. We've seen one car already, the EQS sedan. Now we're seeing the EQS SUV. It's fair to say Mercedes' journey into electric has been somewhat timid to start with. The EQC was actually a petrol car converted, so was the EQA and the EQB. But this new EVA architecture is all new, and it is going to underpin a lot of new cars from Mercedes-Benz. We'll see this one in Australia in 2023, around the same time as a smaller cousin, the EQE SUV and the EQE sedan. But before then, let me take you through what we're going to get in Oz. Now, before I go into detail, you know I need you to do something for me. Please hit the subscribe button to Drive.com.au so that when we drive new cars, you hear about it first. And if you like this video, please hit like. Heck, even if you don't like this video, do me a favor, hit like. I really would appreciate it. All right, let's talk a bit about this EQS. Look at the styling. It's very new and fresh for Mercedes, but very similar to the EQS sedan, which we've seen. And I've also seen the EQE SUV, which I can't talk about yet. And I've got to say, similar again. Obviously the aerodynamics are key. You can see that in the really steeply raked windscreen, the really curved front end. A lot of those petrol powered car cues, like huge intakes, they're gone. Electric cars don't need them. Instead we've got this huge black plate which hides a lot of the electronics. And you'll see as we walk around the side, the aerodynamics continue. Now the EQS sedan has one of the best drag coefficients in the business. This SUV is a lot bigger physically. It's got a higher roofline, it's also wider, it's heavier, it's actually shorter between the bumpers, but on a longer wheelbase than the GLS, which is probably its petrol-powered equivalent, and that should equate to more space inside. A 0.26 coefficient of drag is not too bad for an SUV. But really it's going to come down to how this car drives on the road and how energy efficient it is to see whether it's going to succeed or not. Now, let's talk about the Australian range. There's going to be a number of models overseas. One called the EQS 450 Plus, which will be rear-wheel drive, EQS 450 4MATIC, which is coming to Australia, and then the big daddy, the EQS 580. Now Australia is holding its breath on that car because they want to see if Mercedes ends up doing a Maybach version of it and what that might look like. Because apparently the GLS Maybach, they tell me, is doing quite well in Australia. Now, if you're holding your breath for an AMG version of this, don't. Word is there won't be an AMG version. AMG instead will be focusing on the smaller and more nimble EQE. And from what I've heard, that promises to be an absolute ripper. Now, price, the $64,000 question, or in this case, the $260,000 question. That's a lot of money, right? So you'd want to hope that this car has the luxury to pull it off. Let's get inside and find out. Okay, so here I am in the driver's seat, and I've got to say first impressions are seriously impressive. I mean, obviously you can see through the camera just how luxurious this interior presents. And the dashboard treatment there really grabs your eye. So does the really high sort of dash line. It's really quite high up, which makes you sit right inside it, but it doesn't make you feel claustrophobic. And I think part of that is probably this monster panoramic roof. Now, no word on exactly what specification we're going to get in Australia and what Mercedes is going to charge extra for. So just bear with me here and I'll try and go through what this car has. For starters, a 12.3-inch digital cluster, which you'd be familiar with from any other Mercedes-Benz videos you've watched, or if you've actually driven a current model Mercedes-Benz. 12.8-inch multimedia screen is huge, and to be honest, I'd be quite happy with this as it is. But there is a thing called the hyperscreen, which takes this to the next level and basically molds those two and adds a third one in front of the passenger into this huge 1.4 meter wide cinema complex, if you like. It is 3 screens, but it takes it to the next level, as I said. And one example of what it can do, the passenger's screen can allow the passenger to watch TV as you drive. Now you'd think that's distracting, right? But the Mercedes has the smarts in here to know when the driver is trying to sneak a look, and it'll actually dim the passenger screen if I look over, or if I touch it, it will turn it off. It doesn't want me getting distracted from the road. So you've got to say that's a pretty good thing. Now, what else have we got in here? In terms of detail, I love the ambient lighting, and I'm a big fan for these, I don't know what you call them, jet engine air vents up the front. Really, really cool. Of course, electric everything. Electric steering wheel adjust, electric seat adjust for both front seat passengers. No massage, that's an option. Up to you whether you tick it or not. Heated seats in the front. Cooled seats is an option as well, I believe. Electric seat adjustment in the second row is also an option. I should probably tell you that the EQS will come as either a 5-seater or a 7-seater with a 2-3-2 configuration. Now up the front, I'd be really happy up here. But let's check out what the second row passengers get. Okay, so here we are in the cheap seats, only these aren't very cheap seats. This is really luxurious. Look at how much legroom I've got behind my driving position. It's quite insane. I mean, this is limousine levels of comfort. Headroom, masses of headroom. The airiness of this back seat is fantastic. I mean, the panoramic sunroof continues back here. And yes, it does have a shade that you can pull across, electrically of course, if you want to just control the amount of sun getting in. Well, what else have we got back here? Well, we're spoilt by the Burmester stereo sound system, which continues through here. Of course, we have electrically adjustable seats as well, with up to 130 millimeters of move, which if this car had the third row, means you can compromise second row space for those in the third row. This one doesn't, but I have sat in a car with the third row and I can tell you I fit. The third row car actually has a really clever folding mechanism which moves the second row seat and the front row seat forward to allow almost 30 centimeters of movement access to the back seat. That is fantastic. But as I said, I can't show you that in this. So second row, we've got dual zone climate control back here, plenty of air vents, everything you touch is luxurious, seat back map pockets, really comfortable plush head restraints, a fold down armrest with phone holders. You can get an option with some screens here if you want to keep the kids entertained. There's really nothing to hate about this. If you had to go long distances and you're not the driver or you're not the front seat passenger, there is nothing to complain about back here. Now for the boot. And all EQSs have an electric opening tailgate, which goes right up to 1.98 meters. So if you're tall, you shouldn't hit your head on it, which is great. A minimum of 565 litres of boot space if you've got the 7-seat version, or if you've got all 3 rows up, it's only 195 litres. But in this one, it's closer to 600 litres in the 5-seat version, which is a load of room. Mercedes-Benz promises that you can fit 4 sets of golf clubs in here, which is a great measurement, and I think it also gives us a bit of an insight into what the buyer profile is for this car. Now, that's enough about static investigation. Let's go for a drive. Okay, let's start it up and go for a drive. Interesting little sounds. Of course, this car has a few different sounds that you can dial up to get your blood flowing when you're on the drive, but really this car is not about a spirited drive. This is a luxury SUV. I guess it's a competitor for Range Rovers and big Lexuses and obviously BMWs, although BMW doesn't really have a rival of this size that's electric, and nor does Audi. So for now, this car's kind of got that category all to itself. As I said, Australia's going to get the 450 4MATIC, which has 2 electric motors, one at the front and one at the rear, making a combined 265 kilowatts and 800 Newton meters. Now that's enough to give this car a 0 to 100 time of 6 seconds. And that's pretty good when you consider it weighs 2.7 tons. That is a lot of metal. I mean, 700 kilograms of that is the battery pack alone. But you'll want that because this battery pack is said to give you a range of just over 600 kilometers. Now that's to the WLTP standard. So in real world driving, I reckon if you gambled on 500 or high fours, you'd be safer. Of course, you can influence that by how hard you hit the accelerator, what mode you've got the drive system in, and with these flappy paddles on the steering wheel, you can actually increase the amount of energy recuperation or decrease it so that when you lift off the throttle, the car just glides. And I have to say, gliding is what this car does best. I mean, if Mercedes was going to build the luxury electric SUV, I feel like they've really delivered. The quietness in this cabin needs to be heard or not heard to be believed. I mean, the road noise comes through from the tyres, but it too is so quiet, you can whisper to your other occupants and they can hear you. It's almost unnaturally quiet and very, very smooth. And that's because all EQSs come standard with Airmatic air suspension. They also come standard, as you can see as I'm going through these tight corners, with four-wheel steer. So the rear wheels can actually contribute 4.5 degrees of steering lock at low speeds to really tighten up that turning circle. And that's handy if you're parking in shopping centres or whatnot, because this car has a very long 3.2 metre wheelbase. At higher speeds, the rear wheels actually turn in concert with the front wheels, which has the effect of lengthening the wheelbase and giving this car more stability. It's really quite a clever solution, not a first for Mercedes-Benz by any stretch, but I think four-wheel steering is really hitting the prime time these days. If you want more four-wheel steering, you can actually buy it online. Something Mercedes-Benz is really getting into with the EQ series of cars is over-the-air updates. So basically, you go onto the Mercedes Me website and you can order things like 10 degrees of four-wheel steering, augmented reality satellite navigation, a fancy trailer maneuvering, I don't know if it's intelligent or if it just tells you how to do it, system, because they haven't got one here for me to test. But you go online, you buy it, and then the next morning, or overnight, your car downloads it, and the next morning you've got it. I can't decide though, is that good? Or should those things be on the car from the start? I guess in the end, it's up for the consumer to decide. They pay for what they want at the start, and then if they want something more down the track, they can pay for that too. But just be careful, because some of those purchases are time-based. So it's a 12-month or a 3-month subscription, whereas some of them are endless. So particularly if you're buying one of these second-hand, it might come to you with all those fancy things on it, but after 6 months, they might all disappear and you wonder where it's gone. So that's it, we've come to the end of our launch drive of the Mercedes EQS. And I gotta say, I am really impressed. Something I forgot to mention is that Mercedes tell me this car has level 3 autonomy, self-driving. And if that's true, I haven't had a chance to test it yet, that's really impressive. But I don't know if I want this car to drive itself. I want to drive it. It is such a luxurious car to drive. It spoils you so much. It is so quiet, so cosseting. It's like it recharges you as you drive. And after the jet lag I'm suffering, I really need that. So I don't know, I can't afford this car, but that doesn't mean it's a bad car for 250 grand. In fact, I can't think of many other ways to spend that kind of money and stand out from the crowd and spoil yourself in the automotive world right now. Now that's it from me. Don't forget to like this video and remember to subscribe so that when Drive drives new cars, you hear about it first. I'm back into the cabin and I'm going to put some music on. Take me home, country road, to the place I belong.